Hey everybody, my name is Paul Liston Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We're streaming live simultaneously for our New York Jets postgame show after the 27-22 loss to the Minnesota Vikings. We're streaming live on our Heavy on Jets Facebook page, 20,000 New York Jet fans, youtube.com/Boy Green25. Make sure you like the video, hit subscribe down below for more juicy Jets content, and of course, on my Twitter account, at BoyGreen25. Oh boy, woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's really how I walk away from this Jets game. The Jets had every opportunity to win this gosh darn football game. The defense, which was a little hit and miss at the beginning of the game with some of the talent. I mean, Kirk Cousins started off with 1 billion incompletions, and the Jets defense was working, but they were playing at an absolutely elite level at the end of this game and gave the offense so many gosh darn opportunities to win this game. And that leads us, of course, to the tough way to lose it. And this is the stat to remember, folks. This is the stat that decided the game. Red zone, both offense and defense for that matter, but red zone offense, 1 for 6, unexcusable, garbage, trash, 1 for 6. You just can't do that. Field goal after field goal after field goal, missed opportunity at the goal line. Like, again, that told the telltale of the game, and it was freaking Mike freaking LaFleur. I mean, Jesus, man. Why do we have to get so friggin' cute doing all the Braxton Berrios jet sweep? Check that off your bingo card. Garrett Wilson fade routes. Like, what happened to just old school football? Turn the cat backward and just plow forward. The QB sneak worked that other time for the touchdown. I thought it was pretty clear he got in. Then the ref set up. He was stopped. I'm like, what the hell? What are you watching, officials? By the way, the officials, garbaggio in this gosh darn game. I hate blaming officials, of course, because you just want to roll it out there. But, I wish the refs would have swallowed the whistle on a couple of these calls on the Jets defenders, because on the other side, the Minnesota defenders are getting there a bit early, which could have changed some of those possessions early in the game. But officiating was just trash, a bag of trash. But despite the officiating, despite everything that was going on, the Jets had a chance to win this freaking game. And the reason they didn't was Mike LaFleur. They were able to cook all over the field after some initial hesitation at the beginning of the game. The Jets offense eventually turned it on, but once it got into the red zone, all of a sudden they were shackled. They couldn't do jack diddly in this game, and it was frustrating as heck because I just thought, let's QB sneak. I don't know, let's get a run call here, perhaps. But it was just too cute, too crazy. And really, in general, and a lot of, I don't know if this was Mike White or Mike LaFleur, just blame anyone named Michael, apparently. But a lot of the passes short of the sticks, that hurt the Jets early in this game, but particularly in the red zone. Jets went 1 for 6, Vikings went 3 for 3. Boom. Well, sometimes we could point to a million things. Oh, this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing. Boom, right there. Trash in the red zone. You can't win the game when you're shooting threes. You got to be shooting sixes. That's the telltale. And if you just flip one of those from a 3 to a touchdown, then booyah. We're having a much different post-game show right here, right now, at this very moment. Now, of course, we record this live on the show, and some people watch it after the fact. But I will say right off the top, in terms of positivity, a lot of the games that are going on right now as we speak, as of the recording of this show, are leaning the Jets' way. The 49ers are up 23-10 on the Miami Dolphins at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And they don't even have Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they got Brock Purdy out there. I haven't been able to watch the game because of Jets coverage, but 49ers are up 23-10. Chiefs are up on the Bengals. That's good news for the New York gosh darn Jets because, of course, the Bengals have the head-to-head tiebreaker. Now, if they lose, they will still maintain that head-to-head tiebreaker, but them losing is good. Dolphins potentially losing is good. Raiders are up 24-13 on the Chargers. This Chargers team is super weird, and they're on the outside looking in. If they win, all of a sudden we're going to tiebreakers. They don't play each other, but AFC tiebreakers. So it'd just be great for the Raiders to take care of business and win this game. So there's a lot happening on a positive note for the New York Jets with games going on right now, which is great. But I just have to say that with this game, I just have to get the frustrating stuff off. We could get to your comments, of course, and get to all those on the show. This is an interactive show, so if you have comments, questions, whatever, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, get involved on the show. We'll bring you on the show. This is a show by the people, for the people. But I just have to say that one to me is just it. It just too many blown opportunities, too many times that the Jets just couldn't deliver. Plain and simple. You have the long, gangbuster Garrett Wilson touchdown. He's a pinky out of the end zone, walks in for a touchdown. So it's just simply cashing in on these moments. The defense played lights out down the stretch. Kirk Cousins couldn't do jack diddly in this. But, I mean, that's ultimately it for the New York Jets, is that they just couldn't cash in. They couldn't deliver when it mattered most from that perspective. And I will say this. We can discuss this, of course, on the show, but I believe Mike White did enough in this game to solidify his status moving forward. We will see what happens, obviously, in this Bills game, which is going to be incredibly difficult. Buffalo coming off the Thursday night game, so some extra rest. There you go, Buffalo. You have that going on. But so we will see kind of how that progresses, obviously, from that standpoint. But you have another opportunity against Buffalo, and that will be your next whack at the proverbial pinata here. But I just will say from that perspective that, the Jets coulda, shoulda, woulda on this game. A lot of things. Again, some of the play calling. Of course, Braxton Berrios, obviously, he drops that touchdown. If we want to boil it down to that, you catch that ball, it's a touchdown. Probably better ball placement, which is where I was going to go here on the Mike White thing and why he should be the QB1 moving forward. In that Bears game, I get it's a Bears. The thing that jumped out to me immediately when Mike White got his first start of the season, the ball placement was excellent. Like on the first slant he had to Garrett Wilson, it was high up, right on his chin, right in the hands. I was like, booyah, okay. That's an immediate thing. I'm like, yes, Mike White is dealing. This Vikings game, there was placement of footballs that were kind of all over the place, which, the Corey Davis interception, where, again, if it was maybe placed a little bit better, it did hit Corey Davis's hands. I also thought the Vikings defender got there early. That happened a few times in this game, but the ball placement was off early for Mike White. But I will say that the 4th and 10, put your balls on the table throw to Corey Davis, holy cannoli. I was jumping like a giddy schoolgirl in my man cave watching that game. I went, oh my God, how did he make that friggin' throw? Like, that was exceptional. So that, putting the team on his back when the defense gave the offense opportunities, and again, Mike White started cooking a little bit. I got to be honest, while it was a lackluster ball placement issue earlier in the game, I have to say overall that Mike White was exceptional. He did what he needed to do. It was a very, very good game from Mike White, who unfortunately in this contest had to throw 57 balls by virtue, of course, of the, kind of the flow of the game. But 369 passing yards. He had the 2 picks. One, again, really wasn't his fault, although you could kind of say the ball placement wasn't great. The second one, obviously, you're trying to make something happen at the end of the game, and it's 4th down, so you got to do something. But either way, 369 passing yards, which was very nice. He had his first rushing touchdown of his NFL career. But I thought, personally, that in hostile territory, he did enough for me to say, okay, I'm feeling pretty. It would have to take some sort of disastrous effort in the Buffalo Bills game for me to change my tune on that. So Mike White, a little bit of, kind of establishing himself there. And wow, this team really rallied around the kid, which is great. Chris K, the 5th. Games didn't go our way, but these later afternoon games seem to be shaking our way right now. Yes, they do, Chris. We will see. Again, we normally on for an hour here. We'll see if they continue to be in that direction as we continue through this postgame show. We can only hope, fingers crossed, and we can hope for that. Jay-Z Jet fan, MLF got too cute in the red zone, of course. That is Mike LaFleur, of course. Yes, he did. He just got too cute. That's the best way to do it. I think sometimes he just outthinks himself, the Braxton Berrios thing. Sometimes it's just simple. You just simplify the game when you get too crazy, and they didn't do enough of that. So that was incredibly frustrating. That's just the best way to put it. Aaron here, Mike effing White, throw that up on the big board. Yes, again, I'm all in. I thought he played very well, and again, to me, he is QB1 moving forward. That's my take. Again, it would take a 5 interception, something crazy game against Buffalo for me to get off that. We'll see what happens. Patrick Lee Jennings on our Facebook page. Mike White played amazing again. We kept fighting, but the red zone play calls were horrendous. Yeah, Mike LaFleur, I don't know why he has to get so crazy. Again, you have a lot of talented skill players. Just figure it out. Again, you get to the 1-yard line, and you can't find a way to punch it in. Incredibly frustrating, and that's not the only one. Again, 1 for 6 in this game from the red zone. It's painful. It's great that they rallied on the road. They were down a bunch in the first half, and they came back. That was awesome. Zonovan Knight freaking going off. Let's hand that kid the rock a little bit more. He is an exciting player. Garrett Wilson, obviously spectacular. We'll play the highlight reel a little bit later for a nice little bump for all of us to see some of those big-time plays that Garrett Wilson made. You know, why don't we just bring this up right now? Let's get a nice little random boost here at the beginning of the show. Garrett Wilson just looked great. And to me, my takeaway coming out of this Vikings game, we'll play this little 1-minute montage here thanks to the NFL and the New York Jets. I think this kid's a superstar, and I think this kid established it was a touchdown. It was a pinky toe. It was a pinky toe. Unbelievable, but great. I mean, Garrett Wilson, his exciting splash plays, yards after the catch, making things happen, an absolute stud. And he will break Keyshawn's rookie record for receiving. He's like, I don't know, 50-something behind with 5 games to go. Oh, Garrett Wilson is going to smash that. And he is such an exciting player. So you want some positivity. You want some excitement from this game. How about Garrett friggin' Wilson? It took a little while to get him to football. Wish we could, find more creative ways to just feed him early and often. He was, again, just really special. 8 catches, 162 yards, 20.3 per clip. I mean, that's ridiculous. 15 targets. And that still didn't feel like enough. I mean, wow, we've got a stud there. You have Breece Hall, who's going to come back next year. Stud. Oof. Man, this offense has a chance to be explosive and crazy. And Mike White looked pretty good from that. That was great. Let's go. Sir Robin, weren't there a lot of drop passes? There were. Corey Davis had the one, but again, a few of them you can blame on, I think, ball placement. Now, some were just drops. Conklin had a drop. Corey Davis had a drop. Braxton, obviously, in the end zone had the drop, but some of those were ball placement issues. If it's placed a little bit better, the receiver catches it, but you can kind of go either way on that. Again, we can blame whatever we'd like. Again, you just hope that they find a way to just make it happen. And unfortunately, they weren't able to. So I agree there. My father, too many blown opportunities. Couldn't agree more, Pop. Hop on Pop there, joining us on the show. Yes. Let's go to Lauren James here. Hey, Paul, great to have you here. We could have beat these guys. We should have. Great defense. What the heck? Very tough to beat the officials. Golly gee Jets, 100%. The officiating, like I said earlier, was absolutely abysmal. And I prefer when a game is played and just swallow the whistle then, because they were letting them play, they being the Vikings defenders, and then call it that way the whole game. I'm fine. I'm good. You want to call that the whole way, then fine. Also, the friggin' hit by Jordan Whitehead, and that gets a 15 yards. What are we playing? 2-hand touch out there? Like, we're playing football, baby. Like, come on, man. What the hell? Like, what else was Jordan Whitehead supposed to do? He laid him right there in the chest. Like, come on, man. Freaking official. Like, come on, play football. Play some fun. I'm not saying you need the Reggie Bush Saints-Eagles game where he gets destroyed with a baseball bat. I'm not quite saying we got to go barbaric, but what the hell is Jordan Whitehead supposed to do? He's playing the game too, man. So that was questionable. A lot of the defensive holdings, which are automatic first downs, absolute killers. Man, brutal. Yeah, the one, and it was the correct call, but just a brutal thing that, you have the other red zone opportunity, right, where Zonovan, I believe it was Zonovan, maybe Braxton Berrios. It was Braxton Berrios, actually, who cut back inside the field. George Fant with the block in the back on Patrick Peterson, totally unnecessary. It's sort of Braxton's fault for cutting back out that way. He was supposed to work inside, but dude, come on, man. Like one of those penalties. And you guys can all blame Eric Allen. He is the senior Jets reporter for the New York Jets. And he had this great stat. I shared it over the weekend, and I'm getting a lot of flack for this. I don't believe it should be on me. Like, blame Eric Allen here for this. But here was the stat on penalties for the New York Jets heading into this game. The Jets, prior to this game, had only 11 penalties over the last 4 games. That was the best stretch for the Jets as a franchise in 20 years. Even more impressive, there was zero penalties on the defense over the last 3 games. And by the way, both of these penalty statistical nuggets are accepted penalties. Penalties that were thrown and then declined by the team do not count in the record book. So the Jets had a big fat zero penalties on the defense over the last 3 games. Apparently, this officiating crew said, well, we got to play some catch up here and throw a couple extras. But so that penalty statistical nugget, which is wild, Robert Sala said, wow, what a great stat. He also threatened EA. He said, boy, if you jinx us. And apparently Eric Allen did. So there we go on the penalties, which were brutal from that standpoint. Again, the Jets had every opportunity, throw away the penalties. They had every chance to win this game despite that. But boy, that's tough. Let's go to Bill Vincelli here. Berrios dropped the winning pass in the end zone. Shit happens. Go Jets. Nice game. Yeah, I mean, it does. I'm not bending Braxton Berrios over the barrel here and beating him with a pipe, but, that's unfortunate. He had his chance, but again, there was other chances in the game as well to win it. Again, 1 for 6 in the red zone. That's not just on Braxton, but, boy. It's just one of a lot of things that could have went the other way, because it's not as if the Jets just got their teeth kicked down their throat, because people ask me all the time, Paul, as a former football player, high school football player, but still that counts, mind you. But Paul, what way would you rather lose? Would you rather lose by $1 billion or lose in a close game? And apparently this is a point of contention among people. I want to lose by 100. Why? People may ask. Ask me to bite the curb and roundhouse kick me in the back of the head, because when you lose by 40, it's hard for you after the game to whine and complain, say, man, if just this happened, then we would have won. When you lose 40-3, let's just say, like the Vikings got blown out by the Dallas Cowboys earlier this year, you could say a whole lot of nothing. You got your ass kicked, okay? The Jets lost 27-22 and were 1 for 6 in the red zone. The Garrett Wilson pinky toe out of the end zone. Braxton Berrios dropping the touchdown. The official, we can point to 100 things. It just went. Then the Jets win. But you know what? I'd rather lose by 100, because then if you lose by 100, as an athlete, there's nothing you can point to. So I make that clear. This was painful because the Jets coulda, woulda, shoulda won this football game. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. Vikings now 9-0, the most wins in franchise history in one-score games. I mean, this team just guts it out and finds ways. I mean, Kirk Cousins played like a bag of trash today, and yet somehow, some way, the Jets, for the most part, were able to rein in Justin Jefferson. It didn't matter. They got enough to make Dalvin Cook, of course, a couple of bursts. They did enough. That defense, obviously, you got to give them credit in the red zone. I thought the Jets just had bad play calls, but the defense, of course, was out there too, making plays, getting paid to do things. But I got to tell you that's the frustrating part for me, that we coulda, woulda, shoulda had this. But my father, with an excellent point, the Jets still control their own destiny. I will tell you this. Obviously, the Jets had these 2 tough games back-to-back. The Vikings, who they just lost to. Thanks for bringing that up again, Paul. And the Buffalo Bills. Here's the thing. Heading into Bills week. We'll get more on this throughout the week. We'll have a Bills insider on, all that jazz. But right now, live, fresh wound here. If you could have told me, hey, Paul, the Jets can have only one of the next 2 games, which would you prefer? I would have said the gosh darn Buffalo Bills. Grab out the brooms. Let's get the sweep emoji going. Whoop, 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 whoop. Little sweep. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's what I would have wanted. What's a broom noise? That's what I want if I would have had the choice. Because, of course, Vikings, NFC, conference game, the loss isn't as bad in the playoffs in terms of the playoff picture. Now, you want all the wins because it's so incredibly tight. But if you could nitpick and be like, ooh, this one over this one in terms of importance, playoff importance, obviously the Bills one is more important than the Vikings one. You'd like to win both, obviously, but that didn't happen. So you have this chance to potentially sweep the Buffalo Bills. And you, as my father points out, control your own destiny, baby. You control your own destiny. You've got, after the Bills, 2 gimmies, I will put in quotes, games you should win. Detroit's looking red hot. They just hit the Jacksonville Jaguars in the back of the head with a brick, apparently blowing them out. And they've had some offensive explosions and things. But you're at home. You should be favored by the line. Against the lines, you will be. The Jaguars, Thursday Night Football, okay. You should win those games. And the Jets are 7-5 right now. You win those 2, you're at 9, and then figure out, as we've said from the beginning, one of those other road games. Buffalo, Seattle, Miami. Figure out one of those somewhere in the mix, and all of a sudden you are going dancing, baby. Get your dancing shoes on. We're going to the playoffs, baby. A little shimmy, shimmy, a little shake and bake, if I may. That is the path to the postseason. Win the 2 you're favored in. Win one of the other road games. Boom. You're in. That's it. If you get 10 wins, and I'm going to grab a spear and throw it in the ground. You're making the playoffs. There is no way on this blue earth that the Jets, if they win 10 games, are not making the playoffs. Now, you can freeze and cold take my ass. You can do all that crap. If they win 10 games, they're going to the playoffs. I believe that in my soul. The games will work out. People are going to lose. People are going to win. 10 wins get you in. That's my thoughts. There was not a 10-win team and the 7 teams that make the playoffs on each side that did not make it last year. I think that happens again. So, Jets, you control your own destiny, as my father so gently pointed out here on the show. So that's what to be excited about. You're exciting young players competing. There's no gosh darn moral cookies, of course, okay? I don't love moral cookies. I'm not a big sweets guy in general, but if I chose to be a sweets guy, it wouldn't be gosh darn stale-ass dog moral cookies. Hell no. We're far past that point. The Jets were 7-4 heading into this game. I don't want no gosh darn moral cookie. Well, at least they competed. Nah, screw you, man. However, there was something after the game that I would love to play here on the show from head coach Robert Salah, which I'm going to be honest, it revved my engine. It got me going, you know what? I'm not about moral cookies. I never will be. However, this comment from Robert Salah after the game made me go, now just wait a minute here. This team is a certain special flavor here. Let's throw this up on the big board. Robert Salah after the game talked about his team fighting back and why he is so proud to be this franchise's head coach. Let's go to Robert Salah here on the big screen.
I'm proud to be this team's coach. I'm proud of every single person in that locker room. They absolutely fought their tails off. This team doesn't quit. There's no moral victories or anything like that, but if we play like that, I know we're going to win more often than not.
And you heard it there from the head coach. He is proud to be this head coach of the New York Jets. He says if we play the way we did against the Minnesota Vikings, we will win more games than we lose. And the head coach is right. So I love that emotion from the head coach after this game. Again, no moral cookies. He made that clear. But you want to know something? This team is different. This team is built different, which is good. Chris K. the fifth on our YouTube channel. Man, I've been saying it since the Broncos game. This team's number one improvement needs to be red zone offense. Glad Greg the Leg had a record-setting day, but we got to finish those drives with 6. Absolutely. Legatron is a freak. 60-yarder, no problem. And he was cash money all gosh darn day long with those 5, count them, 5 field goals, which is a season high this year. Prior to that was 4 makes. Was 4 makes earlier this year. So, yeah, Legatron was impressive, and that's good to see that he is able to do that. But, I mean, let's see him out there for some extra points because you're scoring touchdowns, baby. That's what we want to see. We have Skypo Frickinakis. Sorry, I probably butchered that. You have to get the ball to your wide receiver 1, in this case, Garrett Wilson. Yeah, he had 15 targets of the game, but again, I still feel that wasn't enough. Get more action for Garrett Wilson, especially earlier in the game. But yes. Let's see. Anthony Joseph. Yo, Paul, what time is Miami, New York game on January 7th or January 8th in Miami? And where do you see us ending up in the AFC playoff, or will we be home watching the playoffs at home and not playing in the postseason? That is TBD. Again, that's a flex opportunity. The other one I would watch out for is Jet Seahawks in week 17. That is a major flex opportunity. Whatever game is in that, I don't have it in front of me, but whatever game that is straight trash. I mean, it is a garbage. So that one is a big flex opportunity for the Jets. The Jets would have been flexed this upcoming Sunday Night Football. In case you guys missed it, I wrote a story about it for the Heavy on Jets. We're streaming live right now. Again, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe down below for more juicy New York Jets content, baby. So that's your free way to contribute. Also, the YouTube Super Chat feature is available if you guys are on YouTube right now, either watching live or after the fact. YouTube Super Chat. Drop a little tip in our jar, support the show, and feel free to do that as well. But I did write an article about this that NBC, who, of course, is Sunday Night Football, they said, ooh, we want Jets-Bills flex to primetime. They do it about 2 weeks in advance for these flex opportunities. CBS said, nah, man, go pick another game. We can block it. And every network is allowed to block games. And it makes sense. Like, why would networks want to lose out on games they feel is ratings booster, which obviously Jets Bills is. They're going to get the Tony Romo, Jim Nantz treatment next week, which is the number one broadcast team on old CBS. So we will be getting that. But in terms of flex opportunities, of course, we got Week 16 Jaguars. But Jets Miami is a flex opportunity and is TBD, obviously, with its time. And also, Jets Seahawks. That may be your Sunday night football one to circle. The Jets have not been on Sunday night football in like 12 years. That could be the one to watch out. So that one's still TBD. It's up in the air. The NFL will make that decision as we get closer. Where do you see us ending up in the AFC playoff picture? So right now, the Jets are the 7th seed. That is where they are sitting right now. And I'm getting the updated NFL scores as we're reacting live here on the postgame show. So Rams all of a sudden took the lead on the Seahawks. What the hell? What is going on? Who's starting in that game? Like Bryce Perkins or something, or somebody else? I don't even know. Let's see. Dolphins are coming back. Oh boy, on the 49ers, 23-17. Bengals are now up on the Chiefs. What the hell? What's going on? Well, at least the Raiders are piling the crap out of the Chargers. That one to me was the most important of teams like chasing them. Like Bengals have head-to-head tiebreakers, so kind of whatever. And Dolphins for division's sake is one you kind of want to keep close. But the Raiders one is the one I really wanted. So that's looking pretty good right now. I will say that without a doubt, I still believe the Jets make the playoffs. Again, I told you guys the path. Right now, you're at 7 wins. You need 3 to be absolutely locked in. To me, you get to 10, you're in no matter what. And again, the 3 to look at on the schedule is your 2 at home. Take care of business. You are better than the Detroit Lions. You are better than the Jacksonville Jaguars. Flex your muscles. Beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And quite frankly, the Jets have done that all season of beating the teams they're supposed to beat. Would we have wanted the win against the Vikings today? Of course. But they were a 9-2 team coming in. They were at home. Like, beat the teams you're better than. Jaguars are better than. Lions are better than. You beat them, you're at 9 wins. And I think there's a chance you can get in with 9 wins. Is it a guarantee? No. There's a chance you can win 9 games and be on the outside looking in. So you win those and then pick your road game. Seattle is not impossible. The Raiders went in there and beat them. Miami is not impossible. I know they've been firing on all cylinders recently, but we don't play them to the end of the year. What are they playing for? Is a division on the line? What's on the line? We need to know. And then, of course, Buffalo. You already beat Buffalo. To me, this game is gravy. And maybe that's a weird way to look at it. All the pressure's on Buffalo. The Jets beat Buffalo. At worst, they split. And who would have said the Jets would have even won 1 game against Buffalo this year? So all the pressure's on Buffalo heading in that game. So let's see what happens. Because the best case, of course, Jets sweep Buffalo. And oh, hell no. What just happened here? Oh, boy. The Jets playing spoiler here. The Jets are creating their own destiny, creating their own path. Who cares what the experts say? So for me, I think they're in the playoffs. My gut tells me I'm like 85% confident, maybe even more. The Jets are going to make the playoffs this year. I just feel it with this team, the construction, the schedule. I feel very confident the Jets are making the playoffs. In terms of their seed, it's going to depend a little bit. Obviously, the Ravens, I believe, found a way to win. Let me confirm that against the Broncos without Lamar Jackson. Yeah, 10-9. Whoever had to watch that game, I apologize. That's disgusting. But anywho, so, that Ravens, Bengals, AFC North thing, like one of them will win the division, so it's irrelevant to the Jets. But then the other one, both have head-to-head tiebreakers against the Jets. So you have them. They're a fear. Whoever is second in the AFC East, whether it's Buffalo or Miami, or maybe the Jets leapfrog one of those, that's the other one. And then there's one spot left. Who does that spot go to? The 3 teams that are vying for said spot are the New England Patriots, who are sitting at 500. And to me, they're looking out. They got to play the Bills. They got to play the Bengals. And they have one other challenging game that I can't remember off the top of my head. But so you have those as you're looking at the slate here. So the Patriots, I don't know. It looks incredibly tough for me for New England to come out of nowhere to win this, to win enough to be in there, especially after the loss. They lost to the Bills on Thursday Night Football. They're 6-6. Here are the remaining games on the schedule. Because they're an important team, obviously, who has the tiebreaker. Yes, the Dolphins. So here are the 5 games remaining for the Patriots. They have the Cardinals, the Raiders, both of those road games, and both those in primetime. Gross. And then they have 3 Bengals, Dolphins, Bills. Bills, the final game of the season, is on the road. So for me, the New England Patriots are 6-6. Again, I told you that the 10-win barometer is how you punch your ticket in. Are the Patriots winning 4 of 5 here against the Bengals, Dolphins, Bills? And Raiders have been feisty, and Cardinals suck. So the Patriots will probably win that one. But, so you tell me to win 4 of those? I don't think so. I do not think so. So to me, I think the Patriots are out. So remove them from the pile. So it's Jets versus Chargers. Let's see what happens there, and that will be the final wild card spot. And maybe the Jets can do even more than that to make it happen. I just saw Justin Herbert just threw a spectacular touchdown. Good for my fantasy team, not good for our Jets playoff action that we're talking about right now. So we have obviously the Chargers game going on right now. They just made it a one-score game. It's 27-20 after that. Rocket Justin Herbert 35-yard touchdown apparently to Keenan Allen, who's pretty good. So let's see if the Raiders can hold on. Again, to me, I believe the Jets make the playoffs, but it's between Jets and Chargers for that final playoff spot. And again, if the Jets have any hopes of the division, you beat Buffalo and then you control your own destiny with having the chance at Miami. But in terms of just straight up playoffs, that's my take. Let's go to Hyder here. Join us on YouTube. What up, Paul? Big Boy Green. I completely agree with you, brother. We lost because of LaFleur. When you're first and goal, second and goal, run. Damn right. And Zonovan Knight's been pretty good. Now, there's been a couple of these where they get a little weird with the Zonovan Knight straight up gut runs. Like, I don't know if it's got to be straight up I formation, but figure it out. It doesn't have to be this crazy jet sweep thing. Just like run the ball. So that would be nice. Red zone play calling sucked. Yes. That's funny. Tom Shin, Mike effin White, Mike effin LaFleur. Two totally different meetings. Completely true, Tom. I'm saying Mike effin White, baby. Like, wow, what a play. Mike effin LaFleur, son of a. Yes, I had a few of those throughout the game. That's for sure. Let's go to Jerry Kirby here on our Facebook page. This team is relevant again. Defense is days of old. LFG. Let's bleep and go. 100%. We're playing meaningful games in December. And I got to take, I think we all need to take a second, take a step back. Like, think about what we've been talking about for apparently the past 30 minutes and change. We're talking X's and O's, this play, that play, wow, playoff implications, scoreboard watching. Normally, around this time over the last couple of years doing this show, we're saying, oh, man, we need the Jets to lose, and this team tanking, a draft pick coming in. We're zero. I've only barely done some mock draft stuff for Heavy on Jets only because of the quarterback uncertainty. So that's the only mock drafting conversations I've really had on the Heavy on Jets website. Again, quarterback drives, clicks, and views and all that. And Zach Wilson's the only quarterback under contract for next season. So we need to talk about a little bit of the mock drafting stuff like this morning with the Hendon Hooker mock draft and stuff like that. But besides that, we're not talking dick about mock drafts, baby, which is spectacular. It's fantastic. And I love it. So it just feels great. So the team is relevant. They're in the hunt. They're in the playoffs. They're all that jazz. It's fantastic. So all of us savor the flavor, man, of what this means. Now, of course, if the Jets didn't make the playoffs this year, it'd be an incredible disappointment. But there's a bunch of games to go. Let's see what's going to happen. So there's nothing decided. The Jets aren't locked into the playoffs according to anything yet, obviously, and they're not removed from the playoffs, but they're in the thick of it. And that's fantastic. So, Jerry, a great note. And I'm glad that you made that as well. Let's see. Let me try to get through some of your catch up on your comments here. Back to Hyder. Great adjustments on defense from Brick. Salah, kind of both, but Salah's a defensive mind. Must make it clear to LaFleur that we got to run inside the one. It's interesting. A couple weeks ago, can't remember the game, but Salah was asked, hey, are you going to make a change to your offense coordinator, Mike LaFleur? And he said, not yet. No, I'm not. And it almost said like, not yet, not right now. It sounded like it's what he was going to say. They stopped himself and said, no, I'm not considering that at this time, but we'll see. I don't know who you'd go to. Rob Calabrese. I'm not sure, because the play calling outside of the red zone was pretty good, relatively considering as we were getting deeper in the game. But the red zone stuff was just Garabaggio. Whatever he had in the red zone playbook, throw it in the garbage. Trash. Straight trash. Like, do something different. But the second half adjustments, of course, were spectacular, and they were getting pressure. Quinnen Williams, 9 sacks in the season, new career high, and he's only 1 sack away from being the first double-digit sack pass rusher on the Jets roster since 2015. It's been 7 friggin' years. That was Muhammad Wilkerson, of course. So yes, let's go, Quinnen. Let's go to Raw Power here. Let's be real. Everyone acted like Berrios was an imperative re-sign. Has he done anything special this year? Getting a nice paycheck on top of it. Raw, I'll tell you this. Sometimes you sign guys and they're just locker room glue guys. I think Braxton is that case. Now, he's had a few plays this year. Dolphins touchdown, I remember. A couple of jet sweeps. Like it hasn't been like in your face game winner like Braxton. Wow, look how important he is. 2 years, 12 million, something like that for his contract. But I think sometimes it's important for glue guys and having those guys on the team when things are down to have someone that's willing to rally. That's not only his job, it's a coach's and everybody else. But I think he was a nice glue guy, a guy the locker room respected and wanted back. And Braxton wanted to be back. So it's not like we're penny pinching saying, oh man, if we didn't pay Braxton, we could have gotten this. Like, no, I'm not at that point. Again, he dropped the ball. It sucks. I think they use a little too much jet sweep, of course. And remember, which is important, the Jets signed Braxton Berrios before making any draft decision. So before they drafted Garrett Wilson, they didn't know he was going to be there at 10. So you have to make free agency decisions first. I think that's important. Of course, we can all play Monday morning quarterback 2020 saying, where does Braxton fit in this offense? Like, okay, fine. Could you say 12 million invested into a gadget player and return man is a little excessive? Sure, you could. But again, the return specialist, which obviously is an important piece to the puzzle, and he's been really good as a returner this year. And then I would just say as a rotational wide receiver amid injuries and other things, he's been important as well. So again, you had to make those decisions beforehand. I don't question the Jets on bringing him back. I thought it was the right decision. The money was a little richer than I thought, quite frankly, but still, I am fine with the decision. But again, hopefully he catches that ball in the next chance he gets. Let's see. JT, Conklin caused an interception on not catching the ball. I'm trying to think. LaFleur had, he didn't, remember, because I will say, so Corey Davis had the causation of an interception earlier, and then he stopped the interception the second time by playing defense, which is smart by the wide receiver. But all I know is Mike White had 2 picks. One was a Corey Davis one, and one was at the end of the game. So maybe that was, I didn't think he was throwing it to Conklin, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yes, guys have to catch a ball, obviously. So that's important as well. Joe has a lot of Berrios hate here. Berrios has been non-existent this year so far. He stole that money from Joe Douglas. Absolutely no impact plays this year from him. I would disagree. I think there's been a couple of jet sweep touchdowns. I remember the Pittsburgh touchdown, the throw to Zach Wilson touchdown, the Miami Dolphins jet sweep touchdown at the end of the game to put him up. I believe that was the 40 piece, which was really nice. So I'll push back a little bit on that, but we haven't seen like the return touchdown yet. That hasn't happened. Bring NCL. Okay, time to go sweep the Bills, I guess. I mean, again, all the pressure to me is on Buffalo. All the pressure is on them. The Jets, according to all the experts, weren't even going to win one game against Buffalo this year. So all of a sudden, the Jets have a chance to sweep. The Jets are all in the Bills' head of trying to flip that around and flip the script. So we'll see it. And to be honest with you, Von Miller was placed on IR. He's out for this game. Again, we'll get deeper into all the Bills stuff later, but since you brought it up, Von Miller's on IR, so he's out for the Jets game. And he caused the strip sack that required the sauce pick to kind of even out the playing field. No sauce pick, maybe Bills just straight up win that game. So no Von Miller. And this Bills team just hasn't quite looked right, to be honest with you. They haven't blown out, like they blew out New England. They did, according to the final stat sheet, but they really haven't blown out anyone and been that crazy Bills team from the beginning of the year since like a bunch of weeks ago. So Bills have been playing this weird football. The Lions game is a good example at Thanksgiving, and some of these games have just been weird. But the Bills have been scrappy, and they figured it out. But I like how the Jets match up, and again, the mental advantage as well. That, to me, I think is pretty important to consider. Officiating was horrible. Yes, agree. Let's see. Chris K. the fifth. Go back to him. Zonovan Knight had a great game all on his own. Somehow he netted 90 rushing yards. The offensive line struggled to open up any lanes for him. Yeah, the breakaway was like 40-something yards off the top of my head. Bam looked great. Again, vertical. He just has a burst. Like when he's handed the ball, he goes. Like in the red zone where he got stopped initially, spun out of it and like dove towards the goal line. Like I love this kid, man. And he is a guy that's going to be somebody that makes things happen. So I'm really excited about him. Oh, yeah, that Grand Peasy. Elijah Moore, can I get a toe drag, please? Like when the ref said out of bounds, I'm like, what do you mean out of bounds? Like, obviously, how could he not have got that? He got the first foot and just lazily kicked the foot over. Like, dude, kick some pellets, man. What the hell? So that was weird. Again, the Jets end up getting a field goal anyway. If it would have been the Garrett Wilson play that was also at the end of the first half, and then maybe a touchdown instead of a field goal, but that was just weird I'm not really sure. I love them using him on the jet sweep. That was cool. Thank you. some creativity there is spectacular. But yeah, Elijah Moore on the toe. It was just weird. Like, it was so clear he had all the room in the world, and he did not. That was odd, to say the least. That was weird. No running game, no tackles. Tackling was still a little bit of an issue in this one, but running game was fine enough with Zonovan, to be honest with you. Joe, how about a quarterback sneak? Yeah, we got it on the first touchdown. Why we didn't just go back to it again? They're like, Mike White is massive. He's like 6'4" or something. Like, again, I think sometimes he just outthinks himself, and it just pisses me off. Let's see. Uncle Davey from the Navy. I love that. Vikings fan says the Jets are a better team. Vikings got lucky again. Yeah, well, that's good to hear from Vikings fans. But Vikings fans, I will say, for the most part this week, have been very pleasant. Bills fans were super annoying, but Vikings fans have been were very pleasant in the chat up and really respectful on both sides, which I love. That's cool. I don't mind some shit talking, but Vikings fans were really good, for sure. Let's see. JW, can't blame it on Berrios, who shouldn't have been in the position for the game to be one of the single plays. Same thing. I've said that all game. Again, the overall red zone to me is the number one reason why they lost. You could blame officials. You could blame the Berrios drop. But again, 1 for 6. One of those flips, you win. That's always tough. MM Morris, White had Flacco-like stacks again. I don't agree. The 300-plus yards was very nice, and he found ways. Again, I felt like he was a little too check-downy. That's not a word, but he was a little too hesitant to go check down, and then a little too hesitant on the third down plays to run short of the sticks and say, oh, that guy looks good. Like, you're then relying on some crazy, like one of the third and goals that I remember is they threw it behind the line of scrimmage to Elijah Moore, and he went whoop, 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 trying to dodge a bunch of guys. But they were like from the 18-yard line. I'm like, that's the play? That's the one where like, aha, here it is. Like, dude, chuck it towards the end zone. Like, what are we doing? So that was incredibly, incredibly frustrating and annoying. So, yeah, God, that was just trash. Let's see. Joe asks, what are the chances Jets sweep the Bills? Now, obviously, it'll be difficult. Buffalo will be at home. They know what's at stake with the division and everything else. It won't be easy. Let me get an early look here at Week 14. Let me see what the analytics say on the old Jets-Bills game. Let's see what they say. The ESPN FPI analytics have the Bills as a 80.8% favorite, and the early ESPN spread line is Buffalo is a 10-point favorite at home. That is the numbers I'm getting from ESPN.com. That's the ESPN Football Power Index. Again, 80% chance to win, nearly 81% chance, and a 10-point spread. Buffalo is 9-3, of course. So again, Buffalo should be favored and all those other things. But to me, I don't know if I would go 80%. 75, 70-30. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the analytical numbers are going to say, but to me, the Jets are going to be in a good place. Again, the pressure's on the Bills. Go out and play ball. And again, I think the thing that makes me feel very good is that we didn't play the Bills the first time and say, wow, we got lucky with some goofy bullcrap. Like, the Jets punched the Bills in the mouth, and they won. And they did things that were not fluky. Like, they had a 73% completion percentage from Zach Wilson, but, he wasn't really taking crazy shots all over the place. They just ran the football, played great defense, and won. So, like, if Mike White can be a plus in any of those categories, the big revenge game is going to be the theme all week. But if he could just play plus football the way he's been playing, quite frankly, the last 2 weeks, the Jets will have every chance in the world to win this game. And all of a sudden, we're looking a lot different. If the Jets beat the Bills and have Jaguars-Lions back-to-back, it's Lions first. But Lions-Jaguars back-to-back, like, you're thinking like, whoa, oh, baby. Let's get this thing going. So that's something I would like to see as well. Hawks, Zach Wilson, 5-2, other quarterbacks 2-3. That is a fair point to bring up, but I will say I don't believe there is any circumstance where they will go to Zach Wilson after that game. Again, maybe if Mike White implodes against Buffalo, they would go back to Zach. But if he even has a competent performance against Buffalo, I think Zach Wilson time is over. And by the way, I guess I'll share the report from earlier. This is Rich Samini. Let's give you the Zach Wilson nuggets since we're talking old Zach Attack. The former number 2 overall pick. Here is John Beck, which is Zach Wilson's private quarterback coach, visited the Jets facility this week, specifically on Wednesday. He gave a couple of nuggets from Zach Wilson. Again, this is the guy that Zach Wilson works on his own time during the offseason and talks to him during the season. On benching, John Beck says, I don't think Zach Wilson ever thought that would happen. Beck also added this. This was the real, kind of mic drop at the end of the article. Sometimes a breakthrough can only happen after a breakdown. And I think after that first comment, you kind of see, Zach Wilson's like, I'm never getting benched. So obviously it's a harsh realization, holy crap, I was benched and thrown to third string. Hopefully that's a realization moment for the kid. Some more from the Ritz-Amini article, his Sunday morning column on the John Beck thing. John Beck said the demotion really hurt Zach Wilson a lot. Adding Wilson after getting benched quickly shifted that into a positive attitude of how can I win this job back? How can I be better? And John Beck said strongly believes that Zach Wilson can grow from this. And I'll tell you this. We're in the middle of this season. Right now, the guy that gives the Jets best chance to win, and I can't believe I would ever say this, is Mike White. He provides a nice floor for this offense. He can move the ball. And Zach Wilson has some fundamental basic issues that has caused inaccuracies in the short to intermediate passing game, which obviously puts them all in a pickle. To me, for right now, you keep riding Mike White. That does not mean Zach Wilson's career is over, but it does mean that Zach Wilson is the only quarterback under contract. Mike White is a free agent. Joe Flacco is a free agent. It means that you need to seriously explore the options this offseason. Now, what does that mean? Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr. I would probably personally stay away from the draft for any immediate answer. If you want to make a dart throw as a developmental guy for the future, sure. But for me, I'm exploring all the other legitimate veteran options because you are adding someone to the room. It's not a matter of if, it's who. Who is going to be the guy? Zach Wilson, with his contract structure, will be on the Jets roster. The only way he's not is if somehow, someway, this is not going to happen, but we have to address it because it's 0.1% possible. If the Jets had some crazy blockbuster trade for Lamar Jackson, okay, at that point, Zach Wilson would probably be part of that package going back to the Ravens because you wouldn't bring in a 25-year-old, whatever Lamar Jackson is, and then have Zach Wilson on the team. That would be crazy. But outside of that, Zach Wilson's going to be on this team. So he's either going to be competing with Mike White. If he takes his team to the playoffs and they bring him back, he'll be competing with Mike White and then another draft pick thrown into the mix for the future. Or if Mike White is all right, Mike White, you want too much money? See ya. We'll bring in Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, whoever, and all of a sudden those two battle it out, and we'll see what happens. So Zach Wilson's record is fine and fair, and he was a quarterback of those teams. However, for me, I am not going back to Zach Wilson this year, which, again, is something I would have never thought. I would have never thought that would happen. Anthony Joseph. Let's go with a couple randos here before we end. Anthony Joseph, what do you think of Geno Smith this year with Seattle? Why didn't we have the version of Geno Smith and let end this season on a good note? First off, Geno Smith, I love it. For that Jets-Seattle game, I've already decided I will be wearing my Jets Geno Smith jersey for that game. We didn't get that version of Geno because he had some growing up to do, and also the unfortunate getting sucker punch in the mouth. My gut says Geno Smith would have had a very magical season in 2015 with all those pieces around him, but we'll never know. It'll always be a what-if water cooler game. But I'm super happy for Geno. I love Geno. I've always loved Geno. I know some people haven't. I love Geno Smith. So I'm excited for him, happy for him, and all that jazz. He will be a free agent. Maybe Seattle franchise tags him, gets a long-term deal. I hope so. He deserves it. There's no doubt about it. But we didn't get that version because I think Geno Smith needed to do some growing up. He needed to mature, and he basically rode the bench for 6 or 7 years, whatever the number was, something like that. Being Phillip Rivers' backup, Eli Manning's backup, Russell Wilson's backup, and just bided his time and said, you know what, when I get that opportunity, I'm going to swing for the fences. So I'm happy for him. And yes, let's end the season on a good note. We've got a bunch of games left. There's a bunch of good football to be had. Let's keep going here. I missed one here. Let's see. Joe S. If the Jets don't make the playoffs this year, it was a disappointment. Absolutely. Expectations change. I said that I thought the Jets were a 9-win football team. I thought that the Jets were a 9-win football team before the season, back in May. That's what I thought in my gut. That's ultimately what they were. And booyah! 49ers win. I cannot believe they won. That is nice. 33-17, just coming in. Man, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't play? Brock Purdy? Okay, 49ers. Booyah, baby. Nice. Very nice. Raiders, by the way, have the ball. They're up 27-20 with 2:42 to go. Nice. Bengals are up on the Chiefs. Not great. Not great. So we'll keep an eye on that. But again, 49ers, that's a nice one. And then the Raiders one was the number one I'm looking out for. So maybe we'll get that before we get out of here. So, way to go, 49ers. Yes. Zooey mama. But yes, back to your point. If they don't make the playoffs, it'll be a disappointment. My prediction before the season was 9-8. But obviously expectations change. And if somehow they did not make it, it would be incredibly disappointing, especially since we just have this long-ass drought, 11 years and counting. Nick or Joey Bosa, excuse me. No, that's Nick. No, Joey. Nick Bosa. Yeah, my brain. Strip sack Tua for the win. Juicy. I love it. Way to go, Nick Bosa. But yeah, expectations change 100%. My prediction is 9 wins before the year, and that's very much possible, and I'd love to be right, but I'd prefer the Jets just make the playoffs. It's been 11 years. Let's kill that and do whatever we're going to do in the playoffs. And next year, just we have the monkeys off our back. The only other monkey will be New England, and hopefully we get that off our back next year. We have to wait for all that too, but that's what I'm excited about. So yes, playoffs, damn straight, is what has to be there. Let's keep going. Joe Flacco. Elijah Moore's overrated. Wow, we're getting a lot of stuff on here. Elijah's first run from the backfield was actually nice. Yes, it was, JW. I really liked that creativity with Elijah Moore. Get him some more ops. Can't go too crazy. Again, I don't think he could get the Ole Miss stuff where you're lining him up in the backfield. I don't think his body is capable of that, but trying to fast forward. I want to make sure I try to get to as many comments as possible here. Who did the Jets play next? And then after that, they have Buffalo, then Detroit, and then Jacksonville in a short week on Thursday Night Football. So again, Bills one's tough, of course. That one's tough. And then obviously you have Detroit and Jacksonville, which are the two at home. And then they set you up for the final two road games, which is Seattle, Miami. That is the schedule as we have it. Let's see. What else do we have here? I'm seeing a lot of guys suit Zach up. Lions ain't an easy win. No, they're not an easy win, but I would say that is a team that you're favored against. You got to win. You got to figure that out. So, no, it's not like cream puff like Bears. I went into that one again. Oh, we're going to kill this team. Whoever was going to be playing quarterback. But, no, I mean, you got to go out and do it, but those are games you should win. Let me put it that way. Let's see. We won with Zach, we lose with White and Flacco, but let's talk stats. Yeah, it's everyone with the quarterback stuff, I guess. They get too much of the blame and too much of the credit. That's how it works. So we got to Joe S. No one is talking about when Mike White missed GW for a touchdown. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my good golly, Joe S. Well, in the same respect, Kirk Cousins missed TJ Hawkinson for a touchdown. DJ Reed bit. And I mean, freaking Hawkinson was wide open and Kirk Cousins missed him. And he was just like, oh my gosh. But yeah, immediately, that would have been the immediate answer. There was still 4 minutes left on the clock or something. But yeah, Garrett Wilson was wide open for a touchdown. Oh my God, Joe S., you're right. I just oh man, my fiance and baby were doing Christmas stuff outside because I was sitting in the little baby play box. It's just in front of the TV. And I was just pounding it going, oh, we had the touchdown. Garrett Wilson was wide open. I mean, that's one of those ones where you just pat the ball and whoop. Softball it. Garrett Wilson catch it. Touchdown. Oh, you're right. They should have scored, and then we have no red zone issues to discuss. Oh, God, I forgot about that, Joe S. You are 100% right. Down the right hash. That was so friggin' open. God, that was brutal. That was freaking brutal. That was a touchdown. Oh, my God, that was a touchdown. Frank Reich as an OC would be wild. Yeah, and also, wasn't he the backup quarterback of the Jets at one point? No, he was for the Bills and others. So Frank Reich, he will be a good offense coordinator no matter where he goes. So he could be a guy. He wants to be a head coach again, so I don't know if the Jets want to open themselves up to that, because if you bring in a guy and know he's going to leave, again, if you can get a good OC, then maybe that's it. But he will be a hot commodity, I imagine. He's taking some time off with his family for the next bunch of weeks before he makes any decision. Let's see. Let's want to just try to we got another YouTube super chat here. Chris K the fifth. Berrios is a goon. Those are the only two bad plays from him I've seen, and he's is good. And I've been here since the Gase era. Give the guy a break, Jet fans. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people trashing Braxton Berrios, and I get it. He dropped what could have been a game-winning touchdown and probably would have been, especially, when you consider everything that he would have. But yeah, I think using him as a scapegoat is not fair, quite frankly. It sucks that he dropped it. He had it. I thought he caught the touchdown and then processed the catch. Like, he caught it, but like he never had full possession. Oh God, that one's brutal again, because we would be having a much different conversation, obviously. We'd obviously be having a much different conversation. You can't say we win. We're talking about this dramatic win, and Jets are, what would they be? 8-4. Like, yeah, we would be all over that. Anthony Joseph, who's your contenders in the AFC and NFC to play in the Super Bowl? All right, let me go to overall. Well, I guess I can't with standings because of everything that's going on right now. Let's see here. Okay, Raiders still have the ball, 27-20, very nice. Bengals beat the Chiefs. That's a Debbie Downer. Like, boy, son of a gun. That's too bad. But Raiders are still up 27-20 with 2:26 to go. That's very nice. But my contenders, like, it could be, I could see Chiefs back in it. They've lost a couple weird ones this year. So AFC, Chiefs. I think Bills are, like, without Von Miller, I don't think the Bills can win the Super Bowl. Maybe it's a hot take. I don't know. Like, Josh Allen's really good, but Von Miller was the thing that was supposed to get them over the top. Eagles in the NFC. Cowboys in the NFC, I like a lot. Probably so Eagles, Cowboys, NFC Championship game, and let's say I don't know, Chiefs. I don't know who that other AFC team is. I guess I'll say Chiefs, Bills, but I don't know if Bills make it that far without Von Miller. So, and then, like, I think probably the AFC, I think, is a better conference overall, obviously, but, it could be an NFC team crowning it. We'll have to kind of wait and see there for certain. Let's see. But I like our playoff opportunities. Like, if we play the Titans, I like that. Ravens, I like that. Bengals, even. Like, Bengals are really good. I prefer the Ravens over the Bengals, but yeah. Some of that's looking pretty juicy as potential playoff matchups. And again, we haven't even locked in the playoffs. Look at us. Look at us. Look at us talking playoff matchups. That's fantastic. Let's see. Well, I must be really behind because I'm seeing like Dolphins about to lose and stuff like that. So I'm sorry. I need a better system here to catch up on all your crazy comments. You guys are fantastic. There's not going to be a way. So I'm going to try to just make sure I didn't miss any YouTube super chats. And again, guys, we'll be back on the show tomorrow with Will Parkinson. Yeah, I just caught up now. Okay. Yeah, we will be back on the show tomorrow after the Robert Saleh presser. That's normally scheduled for 3:15, but he's kind of normally around there. Then we do our Will Parkinson live stream for about an hour. That's going to be in the 4 o'clock hour tomorrow, guys. So make sure you bookmark it again. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification. You never miss a video. We'll have solid thoughts heading into Bills week. We'll talk about any injuries, the benching. Obviously, Max Mitchell got benched during the game. We have that article going up in 30 seconds on our Facebook page. Max Mitchell gets benched for George Fant. We'll talk about any of those other factoids, a quarterback conversation, and things of that nature. So all of that will be coming up as well. But guys, we'll see you on the show tomorrow. Thanks for your support again. Always like the video. Hit subscribe, baby. And remember this. This loss sucked. No question about it. It was devastating. But I have to say, the thing that I feel great about is the depth of this unit. The Jets continue to overcome injuries, and they're not only competent, like they're more than competent. The Jets have placed 6 starting offensive linemen on IR this year. 6. Cedric Ogbuehi, Mekhi Becton, Dwayne Brown, Max Mitchell, George Fant, like Mekhi Becton I also mentioned. Like, they've placed these guys in random. Some guys are out for the season. Other guys are, or the other 6 offensive line was Elijah Tucker. He's not an offensive tackle, although he did play a little bit of that this season. And the Jets have overcome these injuries to be in games and be in the thick of the playoffs, which promises a bright future and a bright present. Shout out to the coaching staff, John Benton getting this offensive line going, Robert Saleh getting these guys going, of course, Joe Douglas with roster construction. These guys have been getting the job done. You guys should be happy. You guys should be excited about the future. The loss sucks. Take 24 hours to accept this crappy loss. But I think the good news is that we have a bright future and a bright present. And let's get ready for this Bills game. Let's go get the gosh darn brooms out. Let's get a couple of sweeps, baby. And all of a sudden, we're right back in this thing. Again, the Jets are in the thick of everything that's going on here, and that should be exciting. The Jets are, of course, in the thick of the playoff race at this point. And that's good. Raiders apparently have the ball up 27-20 with 20 seconds to go. The Chargers just somehow got the ball. Must be a punt maybe. So we'll see how that one turns out. But the Jets are in really good shape, and that's a great place to be. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you on the show tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.